Hi, welcome back to my channel. So before I do my big mid-year review, I wanted to talk about my June reads. So the completionist in me wanted to make sure I did this month wrap up before I kind of dove into the first half of the year. And since my June reading was pretty light compared to other months, I thought I would make a quick video going over them. I did go on 2 trips this month, and when you are traveling with a toddler, you do not have a lot of time to read and you were just surviving. So I only read 6 books this month, but that's not to say that's not a lot. Just for me, it's a little bit below average what I've been reading lately. But I did get some pretty good books in this month, so let's go through them. First book that I finished this month was House of Hollow. This was a really popular book, I feel like, a couple years ago, and I know it is pretty well liked, so I was excited to get into it. The premise sounded really interesting to me, and I was pleasantly surprised. I really liked the kind of twists and turns it did, and the writing was really pretty. I really liked the scent and smell imagery that was used throughout this book, the atmosphere created around scent that was really unique to this book. And I thought it was a really fun read. I think that the ending was really well suited for what happened in this book. I did like the ending, and I would recommend this one if you're looking for a fun book. This would maybe be a really fun summerween book to read, or even saving it maybe for the fall Halloween time. But I ended up giving this one 4 stars. The next book I read this month was Our Wives Under the Sea. I read this on Kindle. I borrowed it from the library. It was interesting. I think got through about a quarter of it and felt like it wasn't really gripping me like I hoped it would. And I know some people either really, really like this book or are very meh average about it, which is, I think, kind of where I fell. But because the book wasn't super long, I kind of just powered through it, and I really wanted to see how it ended. I can see why people like it, but I didn't love how there felt like there was an emotional disconnect with the characters. At least for me, I didn't really connect with the characters. Weird books, like, they have to hit a certain way for me, and this one just didn't hit. And um, I think I gave this one. I ended up giving Our Wives Under the Sea 3 stars. It was fine, entertaining in some parts, but yeah, it didn't really do what I wanted it to do, and it wasn't as emotionally invested as I thought I would be. The next book that I read was These Precious Days by Ann Patchett. This is a collection of essays. I have actually had this book for a couple years now, and it's been sitting on my shelf. And my daughter she always goes in my bookshelves and like pulls things out and throws them around the room. And she actually pulled this book out, and I was kind of just laying on the bed watching her. And I picked up this book because she threw it on the bed, and I just started reading the first page, and it kind of gripped me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to read this book. So it was kind of a happy accident, and I really, really enjoyed this. I really enjoy Ann Patchett's writing. I feel like there is something about how she writes that really resonates with me emotionally. I really feel all of the emotions, and I feel really connected, and I feel all of like the heart and soul in whatever she's writing. And this was definitely one of those books where it shone through. I think she wrote this in 2020, and it includes essays that she had published in various magazines and different places, and they were kind of all put together in this book. So it's really good. A lot of these stories they're stories about herself, her life, and kind of like what makes life worth living in a way. And they're really sentimental, really sweet, sometimes very heartbreaking. But I love that kind of writing, and I love that kind of literature. And this one really was such a pleasant surprise that I picked up on a whim. And I ended up giving this one 5 stars. Really, really liked this one. There's so many little quotable moments and sentimental moments that I've tabbed, and I can definitely see myself going back and reading different stories in here at different times and enjoying them again. So really, really sweet book. Highly recommend if you like Ann Patchett. The next book I read was Braiding Sweetgrass. So I've had this book for some time now, and it's always kind of intimidated me because one, I know it is really beloved, and two, when you kind of start reading it, the writing is the type of writing that you kind of have to ease into and really soak in. It's not a book that you're like, it's not like a page turner where you're like reading it really quickly. You really have to take your time with this book to really get the moment and really understand what the author is saying, but it is so worth it. So I definitely think this is a book you have to be in the mood for. This book I only read in the morning. I usually read in the morning for about an hour and then I read at night, but this book I solely read in the morning because I needed to read it on a fresh brain. I could not read it at night when my brain was tired because, like I said, it's not that kind of book that you can just pick up, read, and you need to kind of simmer with it to retain it and really get what the author is saying. And this book is definitely worth it. It's definitely worth that time. You just have to be in the right mood, and once you start reading it and you get into it immediately, like as soon as the first couple pages, you really see the power and the just the writing. And it is indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge, and the teaching of plants. So this author is indigenous, and she is also a scientist of nature, and she kind of connects indigenous knowledge with science and how they can help each other and the things that science doesn't quite get, and how indigenous knowledge can fill those gaps. So really great book. I've probably my most tab book, and there's so many wise, thoughtful things and takeaways from this book, and I highly recommend it. So this one definitely lived up to the hype for me, and I'm really glad I finally got around to it and read it, and it was a 5-star read for me. Really loved this one. The next book I read was Once Upon a Broken Heart. Really went from one extreme to the next. I got this book from Book Outlet on one of those $4.99 book deals quite a while ago. I know this is a pretty popular book, so I wanted to kind of check it out and wanted kind of a light, fun read. And funny enough, this is a hardcover. And when I opened it, when I got it, I saw that there was the author's autograph in it, and it's a first edition. So I guess this one slipped through the cracks at Book Outlet and was really cool surprise for me. I read this book and I actually liked it. It definitely, I think going in, I knew it was going to be kind of corny, a little bit cheesy fairy tale writing. And knowing that going in, I think that helped my expectations. And then I just kind of went with it and just enjoyed it for what it was. And I actually really liked this book. I think it was really sweet. I liked the characters. I'm definitely going to read the rest of the series. It's a really quick pace book. And yeah, I ended up giving 4 stars. I don't have a whole lot to say about this other than it was fun. And I got what I wanted out of it. And then the last book I read was The Stardust Grail, and I also borrowed this from the library and read it on my Kindle. This one I finished just yesterday, maybe it was the day before, and it was interesting. I guess I haven't read a ton of space books, and to me, there were high stakes in this book, but the way that it was written and the character interactions, it kind of gave me cozy space vibes. Kind of gave me a little bit of the, not the Martian, but Hail Mary, with the alien and the astronaut and that kind of banter and the friendship between the two. There was kind of that theme going on in this book as well. I thought it was fine. It was a little bit confusing for me in some parts. I feel like some of the stuff maybe wasn't as explained as much as I would have liked, since you are going into a whole galaxy and a whole world with different rules and different things going on. So I wish things were maybe explained a little bit better. And I felt like the pacing was a little interesting in some parts where we were like doing this heist and then that was done. And then we were doing this other thing. And it just felt like the stakes and the danger wasn't really quite there for me. Even though I knew it was high stakes, it didn't feel that high stakes, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to describe it. But it ended up just being a 3-star for me. I think I enjoyed reading it, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for. I think I was looking for like a high stakes, really emotional, punching book, and I felt like it didn't really it didn't really do those things for me. It is a well-liked book. It is a new release. It was one of my anticipated releases for this summer, so I'm glad I got to it. But I don't think it hit me quite like it's hitting other readers. So if you are interested, I would say definitely still read it. I think it is getting good ratings, but it just didn't do it for me. So that was the Stardust Grail. That's it. That is my quick wrap up for June. I only read 6 books this month, but like I said, I think there was some really good ones in there. I really had good quality versus quantity this month, and I'm really excited for the month of July since I won't be traveling. I'll be back kind of in my usual reading grind and routine, and I definitely am craving that. So thank you so much for watching, and my next video will be my big mid-year wrap-up, and I'm really excited for that one. So see you then. Bye!